Jones. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another installment right here on the Be Better Network. I am Brandon Jones, better known as Universal Jones in these YouTube streets. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be grateful for. We have a lot to be thankful for. Hopefully, you are being grateful and thankful for all you have and all you got and all that you will get moving forward. Now, I'm a person who likes to look at things from an objective perspective, but keep a lot of hope that things can get better as we move forward and do the things that we need to do. My co-host today isn't always quite like that. Now, does that mean that he doesn't have any hope? He's not grateful and he's not thankful? No, but he tends to look at things from more of a darker lens. And when I say dark, I'm not being racial. I'm not talking about ethnicity. I'm talking about the deep, dark truths that we have within our society that people don't want to actually deal with. This is a man who definitely will deal with those things. Since he is that type of individual, we've created this series where we're looking at child abuse. We've had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about the serious nature of child abuse and how prevalent it is around the world. But it's one of the most prevalent things that no one talks about. And Lionel's someone who talks about it, and he puts it in spaces and places that make people feel uncomfortable, not through his doing, but through the fact that we have a lot of shame and guilt around this tragedy that takes place all around the world to so many people. A lot of people have been abused. So we are creating this series and we're pushing it to raise some awareness, keep things pushing as best as possible. Salute to Master Kim, who is in the chat. Salute to you, sir. Hopefully you and your family are having a good Thanksgiving holiday so far. And I know you're paying attention to business and what's happening over the next couple of days here. So salute to you. Hopefully all is well. Let me bring up my co-host today, Lionel Suggs, the curator of the Suggsverse. So what's going on, sir?
Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday, Universal.
Happy Thursday, man.
Go
ahead.
Man, we got to jump right into it. If we go to the Discord one, there's a video I want to show. What's the recent one? Actually, I just put in there with Oprah.
Yeah, we'll go to the Oprah clip first. We're gonna dive right in, folks. Get ready for another good show. We're gonna give you about a strong hour to 90 minutes of awareness here on the thing known as child abuse. Okay, first clip, the Oprah clip. Here we go.
Abduction starts with the grooming process. Can you talk about specific things that he would say to you?
Well, just imagine that you're 13 for a minute. Remember being 13 and there's days where the world's wonderful and there's days where it seems like the world just hates you. And there's somebody there, always there to tell you that it's going to be okay. And simple things like getting in a fight with your mom because you wouldn't clean your room. And he'd say like, oh, well, why would she treat you like that? You're an adult. Or you get a bad grade in school. And he'll look at the answer that you got wrong and say, oh, no, this is right. You're just really smart. Or you get in a fight with friends at school and some really, really harsh things are exchanged, horrible words. And you tell him, and he says, have I ever called you those things? No. Have I ever steered you wrong? No. Have I ever hurt you? No. Well, I'm your real friend.
Fascinating. Tell us about that clip and what did you get out of it?
She's right. And I wanted to bring this up because people act like grooming doesn't exist. And then they'll try to create a counter and be like, no, we're talking about adults. But then when you got a news broadcaster trying to tell you that a 15-year-old is a grown woman, then it's like, what's really the difference between a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
So when you got men literally paying to see a girl who looks like she's 15 to see provocative images or videos of her, what's the difference between a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old? And if you're going to relate it to this situation, this is what they do. This is part of their grooming process. They're going to talk to you. They're going to be your best friend because you're going through the emotions. You're going, one day you hate. How often do you hear these young kids be like, I hate my life?
Yeah, I hear that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I hate my parents. I'm upset. Shoot, maybe that the newest rap album didn't hit as hard. I'm not happy with this. Next thing you know, It's simple things. It literally starts with simple things because again, you're growing, your head's all over the place, and that's when they can come in and just be like, "What's up?" This is not an abuse situation. Well, not really, but this is the TV show Power. Me and my brother were talking about it, and they had a situation where 50 Cent's character, Kanan, he started to get into the life of the main character, Ghost, his son, Tyreek. And he had such an impact on Tyreek because he was able to just talk with him, sit with him, understand what he was going, tell him what he wanted and needed to hear when his father wasn't around. His father was completely absent. So that gave him that opportunity to dive in. And because the mom was so busy trying to let the man be a man and let the father be a father, but he was absent, she wasn't doing her job either. So this let Kanan go in and start molding that child to basically get him to do what he wanted him to do. So this is what these predators do. And people aren't, a lot of the parents, if they're not the culprit, this is what they're allowing to happen around their kids. And she was an example I wanted to show because she specifies it perfectly.
So one of the characteristics or tactics that we'll see that is utilized is providing this emotional support to these young people who are not getting it from an adult, like a secure attachment type of thing, which is fascinating. Which, again, yesterday we raised the question about the behavior of, like, how do these predators know who to choose when you hear stories of these victims who've been abused multiple times throughout like years, man. I mean, that one lady we looked at yesterday, it was a whole like maybe a 13 to 15-year stretch of her life that she was being abused. It was pretty significant. So, there's something that they're picking up on, and maybe it's this emotional attachment. Maybe these young people are giving off something that, or they're receiving these signals and they're accepting them, right? So there may be people are throwing things out there for support, or maybe they're posting or saying things that show that they need a little bit of love and support. I'm about to make another connection too. So this is reminding me of, are you familiar with adverse childhood experiences? Have you heard of ACEs before?
Yes, we talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was part of the I seen it part of the study, but I don't know if people are familiar. So for folks who don't know, the ACE study was conducted in the late 1990s with two medical doctors. And what they looked at is adverse child experiences, and they pretty much surveyed 17,000 folks and asked them about their childhood experiences. Long story short, it revealed that most people have some sort of adversity between conception and 18 years old. And that adversity was categorized by three things. It was abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. And in the ACE study research, one of the things that is like a factor of like helping people heal, resiliency factor, is by having a strong attachment to at least one adult. So if you think about that, you think about that thing that they found out through research, that they need at least one adult that is supportive for them to help heal. These young people don't have a lot of adults that they can lean on, unfortunately, which leaves them vulnerable. And then they're also seeking this emotional attachment. So once an adult shows them some emotional attachment, these predators, I should say, not even adult, these predators, they probably form a connection way quicker. It's very interesting. What do you think about that connection?
I mean, you see it. You see it all the time. If you're watching, you absolutely see it, and that is a recurring pattern. Why they normally and criminally overwhelmingly are being hurt by people they trust.
Yeah.
People they built that connection with. And there are a lot of neglectful parents that, they'll be like, what's a common thing they say? Who taught you this? You didn't learn this from me. Where are you getting this from? How are you acting like this? You didn't learn that from me. Well, that might be a problem now, because the child's not learning from you. Who they learning from?
Mm-hmm.
That's automatically showing you some form of neglect that's happening. And you see it all the time. This is why it's like you don't know who your child is talking to. And I'm not saying children can't lie, but 9 times out of 10, parent don't know that you talking to some 43-year-old dude,
Right.
some 43-year-old woman, because they're most likely neglecting it. You know, they're either working and living their own life. Meanwhile, they make sure you got a plate of food. They make sure you got a bed. That's pretty much it. Go
Yeah.
to school.
Basics.
Here's the computer. Play on that. Leave me alone. So, next thing you know, you got Darius, who's 45, talking with them, making them feel comfortable. Easy prey.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, another factor that I've been thinking about since our conversations that plays a role in this is the heightened level of awareness around mental health that we have now, where people are more open to talking about their diagnosis, their struggles,
Yep.
them being depressed, the amount of anxiety they get in certain situations. I would assume that being that vulnerable in spaces, I'm thinking mostly online, but it can be in person too.
Yeah.
And these predators are hearing that, and they may be using that, like, oh, are you having a depressed moment, or I don't know, if you ever feel anxious, give me a call. I wonder if that level of vulnerability, or that level of awareness that we have, that's gotten people real more comfortable, especially young people. Like, people talk about, I hear them say stuff all the time, like, yeah, I'm on these medications, and I see these streamers, they're like, yeah, I've done this, and it's like everybody's talking about their mental health. I wonder if these predators are using that as, if you need someone to talk to or something like that. I wonder if they're giving off these signals and preying on that too. So I don't know. Have you seen anything with that? And it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
more of a modern
But
correlation,
that's
but yeah.
the thing. We have more access to information now. That's one thing you got to know. Just I'm saying it in general. We have more access to information. We have therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. They're talking. They're giving advice. You go to Gemini, type in some information. They can give you some clinical accurate advice. So what happens? You got books. Or even keep going. You got books on this, so you can pick those up. Now we know the psychology of the mind. We know how to respond the right way. We know how to get into the head. We know how to listen to the children. We can literally just go to the child sites, listen to the stuff they're listening to, pick up their dialogue, and use all of that in combination to create methods to trap young children.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Damn, that's interesting. What it's reminding me of, like, some of the training that I've done with educators, mainly because the educators, sometimes nonprofits as well, that work with youth. But one of the things I'll talk about is youth culture and how the culture shifts all the time. Like, the lingo shifts. Like, they may have the same kind of premise, but the application may be different depending on, like, what generation we're talking about. So, for example, this is like computers, right? Like, computer essentially will have the same hardware, but the software changes over time. The same thing with, like, culture, especially youth culture. I think it changes every 4 years. It gets like an update. And now I'm feeling like shit. Am I training people the wrong way? Because one of the things that I'll do in that training is I'll tell them how to, like, build authentic rapport with young people, because young people are really good at sniffing out, like, if you're being fake, especially urban youth. They want to know that you actually care,
Yep.
and they want loyalty. Like, those are two big things for urban youth. So, if you're now, I'm like, well, shit, if I'm training and there's some predators within within the crowd, am I giving them stronger tools to build these relationships? Because when I talk about building authentic rapport, I always talk about, like, pay attention to the language they're using and don't try to use it and sound cool. Like, if you do end up using it, make sure that they give you enough context on how to use it, but just be yourself, own who you are, and you'll be okay. And ultimately, what I've done with programming around the country is being able to help people figure out what does that look like for them. Because there's a lot of folks who are trying to identify with kids and be extra cool, and it doesn't work. And I wonder, like, damn, when we have these like in-service trainings or these professional developments, is what they call them in most education, are these folks who are, praying, who may be in the audience, are they using these tools to further their, victimization?
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting. So, because I'm thinking of it from like, because we talked about institutional impacts. I'm like, well, shit, I've been in these institutions. How do I not see this, or what roles do I play that end up furthering these types of like situations? You know what I'm going? You know what I'm saying?
So that goes into the first video
Yeah.
on that we had in that episode 3 that I want you to play.
Yeah,
Because
the one with Gat's dad. You want me to play that one now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll play it and then we can respond to what we were talking about.
What do you think is the number one predictor of there being child abuse in a home?
An absent parent.
Okay, very, very reasonable answer.
Yeah.
And so usually in lecture 1 when I'm teaching an evolution psychology course, I'll ask this question and I'll start putting all the students' answers. And they're all reasonable answers. If there is alcoholism in the home, if one of the parents had been abused in their past so that they mimic that behavior onto their children, then all reasonable. Well, what if and by the way, no one guesses what the real answer is. So then I say, well, guess what, guys? You just listed 25 reasonable predictors. The number one predictor is 100-fold more predictive than anything that's on that board. Astronomically greater effect than anything we would typically publish in science. Well, the number one reason, Stephen, I've kept you in suspense long enough, is if there is a step parent in the family.
Or what are your thoughts on that one?
That's what the data shows, unfortunately. Because that's why they tell you, if the step parents in the family, it goes up 7 to 10%. And there's another stat that they use when it goes to that also. But that's the other side of the coin, where you have the step parent that has this duality. Either they don't give a crap and they're going to show you, or because they have no loyalty to you, they're going to create that dynamic of, hey, I care about you just so I can prey on you. And a lot of victims fall into that category where it's like, hey, you're my new child, let's get to know each other. It literally goes into that scenario where next thing you know, he touching the little boy or little girl.
That's fascinating. But okay, that explains who the demographic is and the increase. But why do you think the predator would prey on the stepchildren? What is that about for the predator?
Easy prey.
They're just easy?
They're easy.
You're saying
And
they're just easy.
that they're close. That's easy access. They're close. They can manipulate them. It's just easy, consistent access. And at the same time, you can literally just be, I got to use this word, you can be dickmatizing the mom. So you can go off of that.
For the people who are slow and they don't know what dickmatize means, do you give an example? Because you use that term, I know what it means, but what does that mean for the folks who don't quite understand?
Essentially, if you're a man, you laying it down. You messing up mommy's box so good that she's gonna sit here. She's gonna be delusional. She's gonna be trapped in an illusion, and it's gonna be like, oh man, it's so good when he lays it down on me. But in the same breath, you're gonna be ignoring reality.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, here comes the child. Dude touched me. Man, get out of here with that mess. Easy dismissal, refusal to believe it, because this guy wouldn't do that. he's so in love with me.
Yeah.
So it's super easy at that point to start doing what you want, because once you can get mommy to dismiss it, now you can do it whenever you want.
Yeah, it's carte blanche at that point. Now, I'm sure you've seen these videos over time. They're not super popular, but have you ever seen a clip? And these are like real situations where the abuse comes out, and it's usually, when I've seen them, they're usually like teenage girls, and they'll say the boyfriend was abusing me to the mom, and then the mom is telling them, "Well, you probably did something to entice him,
Yep.
or you wanted it." That is a very fascinating phenomenon, and I've seen a handful of videos like that over the years. What do you think that's about? Is that along the lines of this digmatized thing you're talking about, where the mom is so emotionally tied into the pleasure and the fantasy of being with this individual, this guy is just preying on the household?
This
What?
is literally when you're going to hear me tell you women are crazy. They are
Yeah.
chaotic.
Don't lose the audience.
I know.
I'm just playing. Be
But
honest. Tell your truth, as they like to say.
that's
What
what
do you
it is.
mean by women are crazy?
And I get it's not all women, because I'll put it there.
Women are
But
crazy.
the reality is, this was my mom.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like, I've seen this story happen in real life. This is other people I am fully aware of. I've seen this story in real life with people I've helped.
Yeah.
So for me, I've never had to see the videos, although I've seen videos, 'cause I got a homeboy who's sending me stuff like that. But I've experienced this in real life with friends, with victims, with family, where the woman will literally lash out and blame the victim of the situation. In some cases, it is them being digmatized. In other cases, it's them being mentally unstable, honestly, because now it's all of a sudden you're jealous of your child. Sometimes it falls into that realm. Other times, it's anger, because if they admit that this is happening, they're the ones being held accountable, and they don't want to be held accountable for that. Unfortunately, that means it's going to keep happening.
Right. Wow. Man, this no, I wouldn't say it's in the same boat. So, but that just reminded me of this video clip that went viral about a week ago, where the woman was babysitting. Oh, no, I think this might still fit in our conversation. The woman was babysitting. I posted in Discord. I don't know if you've seen it though. A child. So it was a single dad apparently, and he brought in this lady to babysit the baby, but he also had like an older son. I don't know how old the son was, but the dad kept saying he's a child. Did you see this clip?
Yes.
And then the babysitter ended up having sex with the older son.
Yeah.
And the dad confronted her, and she was just like, "That's a grown man. And what do you expect? We're just here." I don't know. Maybe I should play that clip. Let me see if I can find it. Because even though this isn't a step parent, it still highlights the breakdown of the family and what ends up happening and who can and who can't be victimized. Let me see if I can find that clip, because I thought that was wild. And I'm not gonna give away everything about it, because there was another piece of it that I found fascinating as well. Oh man, that was like a week ago. Yeah, I'll find it. I wonder where I put it at though. But yeah, you can go ahead and say something while I'm looking for the clip.
So when you played that, I also want you to play what would be the second, the fourth video we got also, because he's essentially going to be saying something similar to what I was saying, but he's talking about it from an app.
Would it be all right? So the next video you want me to play, is it a link or is it one of the ones I could download?
There's one you can download. It should be. Oh, my bad. It's the second video, because this one's a link. Yeah, it's the second video.
All right, let me go. Let me get that, and then I'll look for the video where that one's playing. Oh, it's the link with the white woman?
No, it's right below the white woman.
Oh yeah, I got that one. All right, here we go. I'll play that one right now. Get my big old head out the way. Let's see. It's this one.
Grindr is a dating app where they swipe yes or no, conversations delete when they're done, they hook up with each other, and they never see each other again. It's not really like a relationship app. This one, it's called Sniffies.
Sniffies?
Yeah, it's not an app. It's a website that can work on mobile or computers. You don't need to put in any email. You don't have to sign up. You have to do nothing. You click use anonymously. You end up with this map around you because you share your approximate location, and it tells you everyone around you that's using the app. If I throw up a picture of myself using a filter that makes me look young, I'll get DMs from people in this area. You have to have a little bit of a conversation back and forth. They'll ask you how old you are. You tell them you're under, let's just say 8 out of 10 times. They're fine with it and they want to meet up. For the decoys out there and the other agencies out there, if they could just automate Sniffies, they would find a ton of these guys. They could automate the process and literally go just set warrants and pick them up. It's that easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Why aren't they doing this stuff, man?
I really don't know, man. That's the part that frustrates me.
It's like they want it to happen.
What are your thoughts on that clip?
Got someone right here that's giving you an easy solution. Before you go into the solution, he's literally showing you an app. He's showing you a whole situation where, and they've done the research that shows you that, hey, he said 8 out of 10 times if you say you're underage, these men, they're fine with it.
Yeah.
Let's hook up. Let's link up. And all it takes is a couple conversations too at the same time, because variety matters.
Yeah.
That's the one thing people don't understand. Like when everybody was on MySpace, they ended up shifting over to other apps around it. When people found Facebook, they jumped on that, but they still have MySpace. But they started still jumping around to different ones. So people were trying to find out one app that resonated with them. We have so many apps now that you can just go and find one, and it's like, okay, and then the right person starts saying the right thing to you, especially in a vulnerable moment, just like that, they got you. But then you go to the solution problem when you have agencies that, in some cases, they do put decoys, but this isn't something that we're pushing. Because they're right. You could just find a bunch of these guys. They're finding so many in terms of the cyber world now, but it's still an issue where it's like, let's be real, there's still so much going on. And it's like they're waiting for literal physical action before they take action.
While you were talking, it reminded me of another clip that I came across. I wanted to actually show you. I didn't get to post this in Discord yet, but it's you ever heard of Jack Reynolds?
I'm gonna say,
he was a predator, I think, out of Indiana, something like that. But he got some attention. I'm not saying he was famous, but he got some attention when he decided to tell a little bit about the experience of being a child predator and what that thought process is like. You want to check out the clip real quick?
Go for it.
Very interesting. So, I mean, we're speculating, but it might be best to hear from the actual people who think like this and who do these heinous acts.
I have seen group meetings at this point. These are not good conversations.
Yeah. All right. So this is Jack Reynolds talks about how he selected his victims.
How did you find your victims?
I found my victims moving from town to town.
I have seen this. That's bad.
I scoped them out on.
Nope. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I have seen this, but go ahead, play.
I'll rewind a little bit because that was key, and that reminds me of something you talked about. But here it is.
How did you find your victims?
I found my victims moving from town to town. I scoped them out on school grounds. I scoped them out in Little League Diamonds. I scoped them out in my own backyards, my neighborhoods, and things like that. I worked with people who had younger brothers. I socialized with those people so I could get in touch with their younger brothers and begin the grooming process. And eventually, it would take time, but I knew what I was doing. It was all calculated. I mean, this is nothing that happened overnight. You know, I knew, and I planned it all. It started out where I would move from one town to another. When I got located in one town, I would, you know, survey the children in the town to see. It was always a small town. It was never a big one. Because big towns have big police forces, and big police forces tend not to be very friendly. Small towns have small police forces. You know, they probably never even heard of a child molester or a sex offender, or never even had to deal with one.
That yeah, you wanna chime in there? That's
Analytical, a methodical tactician, systematic. That's the mentality.
wow. And you know, you would think that they would apply that shit somewhere else, but they're using it to, you know, eat away at their own disgusting desire.
Yup.
That's fascinating. When he said, okay, so one of my thoughts was when he said they're usually small towns. I'm in my mind, I'm like, why would you want to be in a small town where everybody kind of knows each other? Like the shit will probably get out quicker. But he's thinking, once I get caught, how will I get caught? He's not even thinking like, I don't know that. I don't know. I would have never thought a small town makes more sense than a big town. But he's like, look, the police forces they're smaller. They're not going to do the best job. They're not as cruel. Damn. And then to have the means and the ability to just hop and skip town after he's found out, he said that's interesting too. Like
So you got to also think he's doing this by experience also.
Correct.
Or this is an old guy now telling you from experience what he was doing consistently.
Yeah, that's insane, man. Wow. And then all those spaces too are like spaces that I would assume you would build some pattern around. Like when I think about the diamond, the baseball diamonds around here, you usually see the same folks there, the same kids kind of playing, right? So he's not even afraid to be like his pattern to be picked up. You know what I mean? Like he'll go, he's getting familiar with these spaces and these places over and over. When I think about if I was to do something like this, I would pick like a mall or something where it's just you kind of you know, you can't get picked out of shit. But for him, he's okay with just like the neighborhood, my backyard, like these places where you would consistently be around an individual. What do you think about that? That's interesting.
Systematic. That's what it is. He's giving a systematic way of doing this. How he's looking at it, he's even explaining it from an analytical perspective. Like he's mapped it out. Like how you're about to rob a bank and you about to pull some Ocean's 11 type robbery. That's how he's thinking about it.
Wow.
He's just chill with it. He already knows this is how you're gonna do it. Again, he knows it's intentional. So he ain't like, my bad, I slipped up. Just like that teacher from yesterday. Systematic. He understood the layout. He understood his prey. What he did was not by accident. He chose her.
Yeah. Damn. All right, you want me to keep playing clip?
Go for it, man.
All right, I'm gonna rewind a little bit of it. Damn.
It was always a small town. It was never a big one. Because big towns have big police forces, and big police forces tend not to be very friendly. Small towns have small police forces. You know, they probably never even heard of a child molester or a sex offender, or never even had to deal with one. I knew that. At least I played upon that. And I got involved in Little League Baseball because I knew from my high school days that I could umpire Little League Baseball. I could umpire baseball. I was good at it. I was good at refereeing basketball and other sports because I could not play worth a crap in high school. But I enjoyed the sport so much that I did not want to not be a part of it. So I took up managing in high school. Then our coaches allowed me to referee intramural. And when I got to refereeing a mural, that gave me direct access to the younger boys. And that was how my
Oh,
molesting
shit.
began, was in high school.
Holy shit. I don't remember that part. Damn. Now you just said it too. You talked about him being older. He was already analytically thinking like this in high school, how he was going to prey upon people. Wow. Wow. And we haven't even covered that. Like, when does this kick in for a person? Are they always predators? I mean, for him, he was very young. Very young. You're on mute, by the way, if you're talking, just FYI. But I'm thinking about, damn, this man, this guy, I mean, he could be anywhere between, let's say, mid 50s to 70 years old in this place. You know, white people look old sometimes. So, like, if he's talking about high school, he's got at least a 40-year run. We can at least say that he's got at least a 40-year run on abusing children. Easy.
So
Jesus.
I know someone close to me that they were molested when they was 6 by a 9-year-old boy.
Wow.
And
Wow.
all stories I hear similar. It's not a lot, but I do hear them. And this boy, and I know I gotta say it, he was with a single mom, but she came off kind of neglectful. But this boy had in his mind that he could touch little girls when they were asleep. Some people do start early. I mean, I lived in Baltimore where you had people as young as that age too, trying to make out with girls. Girls telling boys to pull their pants down, because the environment that they're seeing. Boys talking about they trying to smash, and it's like, dude, you 9. What are you talking about? But they also have it in their mind that no means yes. Who do you think they're hearing that from? You walk into a middle school or a high school, you literally are hearing boys talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, dang, talk about
girls are talking about it more openly now too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's already in their head. And when they're listening to that whole mantra of no means yes, or hey, even if she says no, keep chasing her, then it can easily just turn into aggression. And I'm not like this isn't like concrete or anything, but you can piece together how it can start.
Sure.
People generally are having these ideas in their head. It literally doesn't just appear and just is like, hey, I'm 36. I want to do this now. Nah, this was in your head for a minute.
Damn. Yeah, I'm thinking about just him. You talked about him being analytical. For him to develop that so early, it's
So
like, look,
bring up before you say Dr. David Finkelhor. He is a leading child sexual assault researcher, and he talks about social grooming. And he talks about how sex offenders, those who especially target children, they are charming, helpful, generous, polite, charismatic, hardworking, the last person you'd suspect. It's a grooming strategy, social grooming. And they're grooming parents, teachers, pastors, neighbors, co-workers, coach, anyone that can vouch for them. So they create a shield of credibility that protects them. Because they know that communities are going to confuse likability with safety. This guy is, I'm sorry to say this, but he's smart going after small communities because that's what it does. It'll confuse likability with safety.
Wow. Yeah, damn. I never would have even thought of that. Like, but you do, right? You meet somebody, you have some small talk with them over and over and over again, and you're like, oh, Jerry would never do such a thing, or Tom's okay, or whatever, and then boom.
He's so nice, he couldn't do that. He helps everybody. He's a teacher, coach, pastor. He cares about the kids. We've known him for years. He's always polite. Niceness is a tool, not a character trait.
Man.
And he's literally telling us this and showing how he was doing it because it's systematic. He he is a methodical tactician, and he
Yeah.
knows what tools to use.
Wow. I found a lecture from him, Dr. Finkelhor, developmental victimology. We can check some of that out in a little bit if
Okay.
you want.
Go
See.
for it.
I haven't listened to it, but we'll see.
But yeah,
Uh,
keep going for a little bit so y'all get the. Oh, is he over?
almost. I'm gonna
Okay,
rewind
okay.
it back just because we talked over a little bit. Very interesting here. Jeez, almost done.
Took up managing in high school. Then our coaches allowed me to referee intramural. And when I got to referee intramural, that gave me direct access to the younger boys. And that was how my molesting began, was in high school, when I had direct access to the younger boys through the intramurals programs.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that to me is real fascinating, man. Being
I'm
able to,
glad he said what he said. It gave him direct access to younger boys. So
yeah,
that's why you keep hearing me say children, or you keep hearing me say boys and girls, because I also want to stretch how much this is happening to the boys, especially from ages 8 to 10.
yeah, man. Yeah, here we go. I'm so glad they timestamped this. Seriously, man, lectures can be, as someone who does this,
I agree.
I know how this can be a pain in forever. All right, let's hear a little bit of what he's got to say since you brought him up, and we'll make sure that we keep start developing some resources around this guy. I didn't realize he was an expert, but he is in that other video clip that you provided. So let's check this out. Why are children so victimized? And that's the slide that he's on. Actually, let me bring it back a little bit. Let's see what leads into this slide. Oh shit, too much. Never mind. We'll look at the types of victimization.
Some of the ways in which we have come to minimize and not particularly emphasize the way in which violence and abuse and victimization impacts on the lives of kids, in a kind of narrative about this that we really need to stop and reconsider. And it comes to the fore particularly when one thinks about the kinds of victimizations that kids experience at the hands of their peers. We've gotten much better, I think, at talking about and being concerned about the kinds of victimizations that kids experience at the hands of adults. But there's still an inclination to see peer-on-peer stuff as somehow not quite as serious as we think about it when it occurs in the lives of adults. I think just the simple thought experiment helps people deal with this. I ask people to think about getting lunch at their local, say, hospital cafeteria or a school cafeteria. Think about a couple of colleagues come over, push you over, kick you a few times. In my case, they would say something like, you cruddy researcher, how dare you publish in our journals? Now, I mean, this kind of behavior directed at an adult would really generate an enormous amount of attention. It would probably make the newspaper.
At any point you want me to stop it, just let me know.
I got you.
Result in an arrest. This is what happened at the University of New Hampshire when a professor took a graduate student who I guess wasn't performing very well on her comprehensive exams and shook her. He found himself facing an assault charge. But episodes of this sort happen to kids all the time without very much attention, without very many consequences. And I think people have a very different construction about what's going on. And they construct it differently in three kinds of ways, in my view. First of all, they think that children are somehow less affected by violence and victimization exposures than adults would be. So if I had been assaulted by these two colleagues, and 2 years later I was still, pursuing grievance about it and a lawsuit about it, I mean, that might be, and having people testify as to the PTSD I'd suffered as a result of that. People wouldn't necessarily regard that as out of bounds, but a child who 2 years later was still grieving, making issues about an episode of that sort that had happened, we'd somehow say, well, you know, get over it. What's going on? Why is this taking so long?
That's exactly what they say.
Yeah, speak on that.
That's exactly what they say. Because if you're still feeling the impact from, in his case, he's talking about abuse overall, and you bring it up 2 years later, or you're still having the effects from it, you're told, get over it.
Yeah.
Point blank. Haven't you moved past it? Because the psychological damage should have been repaired already. There's this concept where they talk about how predators often treat children differently than adults. Where adults, they'll see kindness, generosity, helpful behavior, responsible behavior. But children see manipulation, threat, secrecy, inappropriate touch, fear. Adults don't see what the victims see. So that becomes the reality that's super dangerous.
Yeah.
Hence why the adults will defend the predator, whether purposefully or ignorantly, and the child can remain unheard.
Wow. Yeah. When you said that, like I visualized like a graphic of like, I don't know if you ever seen like a split graphic where they'll have like what the child sees and you list those things, and then with the like, I think that's something that can be eye opening for folks to understand, is like through the victim's eyes, they're seeing the true nature of this individual. And given the fact that they were able to, the predator was able to develop a relationship with the parents or caregivers or staff or whomever is around, they see this person as someone who could never do those things, and that's exactly how they get in. That's.
But that, now let me note, this is why I bring up Child Protective Services particularly, because these are the people that constantly deal with it. And the one thing they do see is how predators rely on being liked. Because when he is respected in the community, he's admired, he's a role model, he's allowed to move in the shadows.
Wow.
This is why you get legitimacy. You get easy access to children, automatic trust from adults, excuses to be alone with the minors, protection from suspicion.
Wow.
So you got that issue that's happening. And this is why we say the predators, they depend on the communities to not believe the victims. And this is a pattern that they know. I mean, again, we're in 2025. It's super easy to create this pattern, to understand this pattern. We see it. You can see what's underreported, the malpractice and the underreporting, how many people don't get believed. And you've been hearing the story since the 60s plus. It's super easy to know this pattern.
Yeah.
So you have these, I call it the standard cycle of a CPS worker, because you know that one, the perpetrator, they build a stellar reputation.
Yeah.
The child discloses the abuse. The adults say, that can't be true. He's such a good man. The victim either recants or stays silent. The abuse continues because predators count on adults protecting them.
Wow. It's interesting too, because you would assume the children also expect the adults to protect them. You know, that's expectation, but they're not being protected, but the predator is. All right, we'll come to the flip.
We have changed our point of view with regard to sex offense. There was a time when you would see people writing about, well, why would a child be, affected for a long time by having someone touch them inappropriately? But now we kind of understand that even one inappropriate touching at a young age, because of the child's developmental immaturity, can result in long-term consequences. But we have a much harder time than thinking kids would have that long-term effect from a single episode of an assault or victimization, unfortunately. But in fact, the same holds true. The developmental maturity of the child may make them vulnerable to exactly those kinds of consequences. The second, I think, misperception that we have is we sometimes are still in the habit of thinking that children confronting victimization is a educational or salutary experience. You're not learning to need to stand up to bullies. It taught you a good lesson. Now you know that you need to defend yourself. Confronting victimization and crime always has some educational effects. If your household had been burglarized, you probably then went out and got some extra locks, and you no longer putting your television set in a place where it can be seen, and maybe you got a security firm. But you'd really be incensed at the cop who showed up at your door and said something like, well, that burglary taught you a good lesson. And the third thing that I think we do that's a bit unfortunate is we tend to construct a lot of the victimizations that occur for young people, especially when they're at the hands of other kids, as these kinds of mutual combat situations. We call them fights or to-dos or something of that sort. And it is true that a couple of kids may kind of decide to have a fight, but more often than not, one particular party started it, picked on another child, and by the time the adults showed up, they're both trading blows or accusations. So it may be hard for the adults to sort of see that. But I think what's particularly interesting for me is the way in which we used this construction for a long time to minimize the impact of another kind of victimization that we didn't want to pay that much attention to, and that's spousal violence. We used to say, oh, that's just Marty and Selma going at it again. And the notion was, oh.
Yep, go for it.
I thought he was going to hit a point, but he really stretching us.
Yeah, that's a lot of lectures. They're not.
What his this video and take some pieces out, because he kind of he on some universal stuff right now.
Hey man, I be making points, man. Let's see. Let me just
go ahead.
Go ahead. I
wanted to point out, like, in this conversation, if we go to the predator from before, I wanted to bring up how what he was saying. You have to also understand that people fear scandal more than danger. Well, I'm just dropping gems to that. But
what do you mean by that? Say more.
Because communities protect predators because it protects the community's self-image. Because think about churches, schools, sports programs, your neighborhoods that are just real tight, respected institutions. Finally, a small towns, because that's when you'll hear let's handle this privately. We don't want to ruin his life. This could destroy our reputation. The child is already destroyed. But that's what I said. People fear scandal more than the danger.
Wow. So they're willing. It's almost like they're willing to sacrifice the kids for the betterment, or not the betterment, but the image of the community or wholesomeness within a group. Damn. And then that says a lot too. Is like, do we really care about children, right? Or is it all just some collective ego trip of who we are and how we show up, and these children don't matter? I don't know. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. Damn. I'm trying to find some more clips of this guy. I found another news clip, but wanted more of this interview because there is more there somewhere.
We're gonna have to probably make that another episode to break, so I can break this down.
Well, you can, if you want to. Do you need some visuals with it? Because if you want to break it down a little bit, go for it. That's it.
I'm talking about with that interview that we was just having.
Oh yeah.
But I do want you to bring up that video, the third video on the Discord.
I got you. And that was this
Grindr is a dating app.
No, you not. Nope. The link, right? Hold on. Let me get back to our area. Give me 1 second. The third video, that one. We did the Oprah one. I played 3 of the downloadable ones. So which video did you want me to play next? The one with the Asian guy?
Yep.
Oh damn! I thought this was a YouTube link. I didn't even know you can download that one. Okay, I'm gonna put that in StreamYard right now. My bad. I dropped the ball on that one. I thought that was YouTube because I just looked at the image. Let me get that in here. Yeah, this guy was fascinating. And you said that this was a YouTuber that's been around, or was that Garion who said that? But this guy's been around for a while, and he's validating this sick desire that these predators have. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
As it motivates you more to defend people that are worth defending, it's all good.
It's not all good. It's awful. It's terrible. Everything's terrible. I hate it.
Admittedly, there is a huge portion of the pedophile community that tries to defend sexual acts with babies. I do not want to associate with them. I think that defending sexual acts with babies is obviously extremely bad.
Okay. Progress, I guess. He admits diddling babies is bad, so...
I feel that only at around the age of 4 are children perhaps able to consent to sexual acts, and even from the ages of 4 to 7, I think that is only a really small minority, and only perhaps gifted children are able to consent.
So, and again, this guy, I don't know if he's still on YouTube or not. I don't know.
He's not no more.
But he was a pretty popular YouTuber at one point, I think you said, right? Jesus. Well, now, was that the majority of his content was just talking about how he supports predators and maybe
I would not dive into his content like that.
Okay.
That's crazy. I got introduced because I was watching her stuff years ago, and she highlighted this dude, which he ended up doing a reaction because he thought she was being too mean to him. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. And he was like, you know how, what's his name? Day was like, fat bitches need love too, Craig.
Yeah.
This was like, pedophiles need love too. And he was trying to speak for the pedophile community, unfortunately.
Wow.
But I'm glad that we have a person that you can put a face to and throw him out there. Because again, he's like, once you hit the age of 4, it's fair game.
Wow.
But these communities do exist. So I want people to understand, don't think that these people not gathering around. These people, I mean, that's what the Telegram thing was telling you the other day. These people are gathering around, but you have a physical guy literally telling you this.
Wow. Before the internet, where do you think these predators collectively, how do they get together? You know, like, because it sounds like, that's interesting. Because it sounds like the internet's giving these people a space to kind of learn better tactics and find community in a weird way. So you're saying church may have been one of the places that these people got together. Interesting.
It is.
Wow.
I mean, again, don't just look at it from a church. I mean, school, you know, they got easy to get together when you're at school, you know. I mean, let's have a sport program situation.
In Penn State.
Let's go somewhere that's respected, period. And this is how you're doing it. And while it's dangerous now, I know of a young child who was literally just writing letters. She's 11 years old. This dude's in his mid-30s. She's writing letters back and forth with him.
How
How
does a parent not intercept the letter? Like, what the fuck?
There you go.
I don't. Yeah, I don't even use a lot of postage mail, but I know damn sure that, and my daughter definitely can get the mail, but I don't think that could ever happen in my house without me coming across it.
And that tells you some of the situation. Again, people be like, certain things are extreme. I've seen them. Like, and these are situations that can happen because the parent is neglectful, because the parent is working 2 jobs or is never around. So the girl did eventually get caught, but at this point, she had basically a pile of mail from this dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's so far down the rabbit hole. Like, you got other issues to fry at that point. Jesus. Wow.
They have. Okay, Did you hear about the Joe Budden situation with Ish?
Yeah, you sent me the image, but I didn't hear the actual clip. I don't know. But I'll pull the image up here right now so people know who we're talking about and what he was saying as well. So
I should have got the clip though, but
I might be able to find it if you're talking about it. Let's see. So this is a photo of Ish. He is a co-host on the Joe Budden podcast. And Lionel, what did he say? What happened here?
Checking the sex offender list in your neighborhood is Karen shit. I think that we pick and choose what things are important to us. So niggas running a drug enterprise next door is cool. Checking the sex offender list in your neighborhood is Karen shit. FBI, I'd be looking at him.
Man, I'm trying to find the actual raw clip.
So when you have a guy like this who has clout and he can just say stuff like this open, once again, we got a problem.
All right, this might be the best. And you saying you think that's Karen? Oh yeah, this might be the best clip of it. You know, maybe I'll wait till we show the clip. I have a comment on this one, and I haven't even heard the clip, but just that initial thought's fascinating. All right, I'm gonna shift to. I almost ended the live. I'm gonna shift to the Joe Budden clip now. Wow. And this is a very popular podcast for folks who aren't familiar. Joe Budden was one of my favorite rappers of all time back in the day.
And you're saying you think
now he's a podcaster. So this happened, I'm assuming, this year? Probably. Oh, damn. This happened like a couple days ago. Oh, this is fresh off the press. Okay, well, we're going to see what the fallout, if any, is from this situation. But here's the clip.
That's Karen.
I think that we pick and choose what things are important to us and we stand on that. I think that niggas running a drug enterprise next door is cool, but come on. Why does everybody? I never understood that expression, pick and choose. Yes, we pick and choose.
Ish from the Joe Budden podcast finds himself in hot water after making some really crazy comments about looking people up on the registry list. So on the recent episode of the podcast, they were having a conversation about whether it's okay to report your neighbors and whatnot. And the topic of the registry list for offenders was instituted. And as a result, Ish would kind of take this street cold position that you shouldn't be looking up the registry and that it's Karen-like behavior. Now, I believe what Ish was trying to do was he was trying to wake up how Joe Budden was in a similar.
I hate when people do that. Like, the person says something, let them explain what they were trying to do. I hate when people do. I don't know why people do that, especially in this case where it's very like cloudy so far. And just the little snippet I heard, I'm a little confused about what he was trying to say. It wasn't that clear. But I hate when people do that type of stuff. But so take that for what it's worth.
Similar situation when he went out into his hallway. Remember the incident in December last year? I think that's what he was trying to get at, but he couldn't get there because he didn't want to wake it up, nor did he have the range of discussion to be able to introduce it in a way that was.
If he doesn't have the range of discussion, why discuss it? Right? That's not an excuse. I don't think that's a good excuse either from this content creator.
It's not.
You should not be, first of all, assuming what someone was trying to say. Let them defend themselves. And then secondly, I wouldn't recommend that you say somebody doesn't have the depth or the capacity to cover a topic, then you probably should talk about that topic, which is why I am shutting up most of this podcast series and let you lead, because you have way more depth than I do. And I'll just chime in from time to time. But this is even interesting how he's covering this.
So he made a heavy-handed statement, and now he looks crazy because a lot of the blogs would pick it up, like Neighborhood Talk and other message boards, who had an issue with him even trying to go this route. Now, one of the issues with podcasting nowadays is that they try to do the street code thing to every single subject. And I think that's what Ish was trying to get at, is like, oh, you just got to you got to police your way. You don't bring the police involved. You run, you're part of a neighborhood. There's no need to get the authorities alerted and all that type of stuff. But it landed really bad, so much so that even members of the cast would get at Ish, noting, hey, this is wild. You can't compare, somebody dealing drugs to somebody hurting kids. And the biggest proponent of that was Mark Lamont Hill. So the rest of the cast just wasn't feeling it. Even Ice was like, yo, you crazy, dog. What are you doing right now? You're horribly misinformed. So that's how that went. But one key point that was really interesting is how Joe Budden was able to set Ish up for a topic. He said, no, I wanted to hear what Ish's thoughts are. And he knew what he was doing. So this is some insight into how Joe Budden is able to engineer moments on the show. He essentially knows already on it because he doesn't. Now it was totally her.
I'm trying to see if they're gonna let them talk.
Then set him up.
No, I think he's just talking. Oh man, what the hell? All right. I would love to have a clip of him actually commenting. But yeah. Any other thoughts on this issue?
I just wanted to bring that up, man, because that was wild.
So we gotta go.
Maybe I can grab it from X. Let me see.
I do want y'all to be aware of what happened with Iraq and the law that passed, lowering the legal age of marriage for girls from 18 to 9.
Wait. I'm trying to look for what they can listen at the same time. So tell us more. When did this happen? And tell us a little bit more.
This happened essentially last week, but obviously this got made public this week. And essentially, it's a new law that the parliament approved. Amendments allowing girls as young as 9 to be married. And it overturns their decades of progress under the 1959 Personal Status Law, which protected women's rights and set the legal age of marriage at 18. Human rights groups are warning that it opens the door to abuse and strips away critical protections like divorce and inheritance. And the rights of these little girls, I mean, clearly are being taken away. This isn't the only country that's done this. I forgot, it was like last year I was posting something else that had happened. Oh, I don't remember the country, but they also lowered that age to around this also. And I remember it was going through basically their version of Congress. And once the House passed the first one, which was dominantly men, then the second House passed the second one, which was dominantly men. And then the third one was all men. So you knew it was getting passed.
Mm-hmm.
And it got passed. So that also went from 18 to, it was either 8 or 9. But still.
Well,
time to move. Tell that family to move away.
but where to? That's the question. The way that we're uncovering all this is kind of even hard to determine where to go. But I did get the clip. You want me to roll the clip?
Go for it.
All right, perfect.
Solve all that shit. But isn't the list like, can't you go on the list and just
No, you put in your address
you put
and it'll
the
show
address,
you
it shows you a
all.
map.
It'll show
Yeah, it's a
remember
Megan's Law list.
all the registered people
Yo,
in the
remember
neighborhood.
the Not Like Us cover?
Yes, it was that.
It was that.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
it's
what
exactly
comes
what
up.
it looked like, Joe.
You put and you saying you think that's Karen shit.
I do.
How?
How?
No, ish.
I don't know. I ain't no
Fuck
care.
that. Just let him answer the why.
I'm good, bro.
I gotta hear this.
I'm cool. That's my opinion, bro.
Yeah,
I think that we pick and choose what things are important to us and we stand on that. I think that niggas running a drug enterprise next door is cool, but
Yes. Come on. Why does everybody? I never understood that expression. Pick and choose. Yes, we pick and choose. If my neighbor's selling weed, I don't care. If he's molesting kids, I care because I got kids.
Period. I care.
You're not calling. To be clear, we're not calling the police on him.
I'm not doing
I'm saying if he's a registered sex offender, I want to know so I don't. When you trick or treat and don't go to his house, that's not Karen shit. I'm not snitching. He's.
Wow. I'm confused on what Ish was saying. Period. I don't think either one of his points made any sense.
He do.
Am I tripping?
And he said it nonchalantly. He said, "It is what it is." That's how his whole demeanor is.
I don't think any of that shit was good. Honestly, like if somebody's running a drug empire next to you, whether it's weed or not, that's some shit you probably want to know about because that's going to bring harm to your dwelling. If it's a sex offender in your neighborhood, you probably want to know about that too because you want to protect not just your children, but probably the other children that live in the neighborhood. Now, again, we don't know the extent of their abuse unless you look it up, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you don't call the police on them. You need to be aware that there's somebody who's likely could harm children. Now, we need to just be aware of just people in general, because based on the stuff we're talking about, the people that are harming children are people that aren't offenders on the list yet. Yep. They're people that are just, Tom and then Jerry and fucking the dude who's the umpire at the Little League baseball game. Like, those are the people that you need to pay attention to too. So, the whole thing about some Karen shit, like, man, the street code. This goes back to our point. Well, episode 1 is that the streets code and the cultures that we've created in these communities is allowing for this shit to happen. This is a circuit. In order for this to work, it's a circuit of not caring about children at the end of the day, period. Because like he's saying the street code is so valid and must be respected that we should put harm's way into children. That's essentially what he's saying. No matter if it's a sex offender, a drug empire, or something else that may be happening. Maybe somebody's cooking meth next to your house. I mean, that's dangerous as hell too. So he don't care. He's like, the street code is more important. Like, any thoughts on that?
No snitching. That's what he's saying. No snitching.
Yeah.
My mom had a whole conversation about this already. And I saw it, but apparently she had heard it. So when the second I sent her that picture, she had hit me up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like just ranting on it. And it's wild because this is what Melissa Ford was kind of warning us about.
Mm.
But
what did she say? I skipped that part of the video.
No, it was just in general, her conversations, not in this video, but her conversations overall being on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just alluded to how kids aren't protected and how it's dismissive. And they flat back on her.
Wow.
Because, hey, she used to be a thought. So because she used to be a thought.
So her voice doesn't
matter.
Shut her up. Wow. And, this kind of leads into another probably episode. I know we just stumble upon episodes here, but the hidden molestation in hip hop is how I'm gonna say it. Like, if you listen to some of them older songs, hell, if you listen to some songs today, but especially those older songs, and they're dropping ages in the middle of those songs, and then you realize how old those guys were when they were saying that, it's like, holy shit, this has always been here. You know, we never talk about the Jay-Z Beyonce situation or the Foxy Brown situation with several different.
I trust me. I talk about it. It gets thrown under the rug.
Like, we barely. I mean, we can talk about how we let R. Kelly get a pass, and it's not just in the black music; it's all in everything else too. But still, like, we talk about the Nickelodeon stuff, like this stuff. Even when it does get big and there is a huge scope on it, it seems like not a lot really happens. Right?
I want to bring those points. Honestly, I still have conversations actually about the Nickelodeon stuff with other people. It makes people uncomfortable. You know, the dark side of Disney and the stuff that was happening there. I was just telling somebody, my sister, you know, I used to watch the stuff she used to watch. And she used to watch Zoe 101 with Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' sister.
Okay.
I found out this girl was pregnant and she was like 15.
Oh,
and I
wow.
said, you can't watch this show no more. Now, luckily, the show got canceled also. But I was like, you can't watch this show because I can't have this girl being somewhat of an influence on my sister. And I know it might sound kind of critical, but I was paying attention to what was happening in the news. But then but there's stuff you don't hear. So when you hear about Drake and Josh, I don't know if you ever saw that show.
No.
But have you heard of it?
No.
Drake and Josh was on, was that on Nickelodeon? Drake and Josh was a popular TV show, and we found out that one of the main characters was getting his back blown out by one of the producers. And it sounded like the mom knew about it.
Wow.
The parents knew about it. Yeah, it was Nickelodeon. And I can't watch the show no more. Even my sister said she can't watch the show no more now, knowing what was happening behind the scenes.
Wow.
They had made Raven Simone had made a comment about Orlando and about how the reason he's messed up is because so many producers was going in and out of his trailer. And then he hit her back saying, well, that's the same reason you're messed up.
Wow.
But we don't talk about the dark side of what was happening with those kids. And it just gets, you have one talk, then that's it. We'll move on to the next episode. And I never understand why it's just one conversation.
Wow.
Because we'll repeatedly bring up Beyonce's album or things that's happening in the football league, certain movies. But with these situations, they get brought up one time and then that's it. I was reading the comment.
The one on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst part about you bringing up how these celebrities or artists are grooming or dating underage girls or boys is that they use the excuse that age consent being younger in the early 2090s.
Yup.
But has it really changed them? I mean,
No.
Yeah, they'll say that, but it's like it's still the same.
And that's what's still happening. They're not even hiding in plain sight. They're literally just in plain sight.
Yeah, that's crazy. This statement is a gut punch right here. It really shows that if the age of consent is in the toddler stage, they would allow it.
I have said.
Yeah. Oh.
I've gotten clapback for it. I'm not trying to put a name out there, so I won't. But a popular podcaster that be in the circle that your people be following, they asked him a question about basically if the legal age of consent was 12, would you date this girl? And he said yes. And I immediately unfollowed this guy. Period. Never looked back. But everyone else tried to make excuses for him and continuously follow him now.
And this is somebody in one of my spaces?
Yep. Most of the people you know in these spaces, they follow.
It's probably it can only be like 3 people then. So okay, we'll talk about that. Since you don't want to bring it up, we can bring it up if you want. I don't care. You can out him.
He recently, he's been having Pearl. He's been having Pearl on his show. She said some reckless things recently, but again, I'm not going to use a name. I'm just saying.
Wow. Well, I will need to talk to you because I don't even know. Maybe I'm not as close. Maybe the folks that I'm associated with are closer to this person than I am because I don't know who you're talking about. Sheesh. Okay. Damn. But they had Pearl. I mean, there's only a few people who's had Pearl on recently. You're saying recently, so I mean, it's either Fatty. I don't know if Anton Daniels has. Tommy Sotomayor, maybe. I don't know. Those are the 3 people that come to mind for me.
Well, I'll let you pick one, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
All right, so one of the ones that I said is right. Oh God!
But I want you to go to the one about Ohio in the Discord.
Sure. Yep, no problem.
I want y'all to be aware of just what's happening.
Ohio.
I can't believe this wasn't in Texas, but yeah, this is in Ohio.
Florida. Oh yeah, I got it. All right. Damn. So again, whether it's celebrities or regular everyday people, man, this stuff's happening all over the place. All right, here we go.
So you have 135 people was arrested recently in an Ohio human trafficking sting operation, including former federal defense attorney and school teacher.
Wow.
And so basically a total of 135 people, they were arrested, and more than 100 members of law enforcement statewide was involved in what was called Operation Next Door. We call this Operation Next Door because the victim is the girl next door. It's the boy next door. It's the John next door, said Attorney General Dave Yost in a video about the statewide sting. A total of 103 Johns, or people seeking to buy sex, were arrested, including 76-year-old Greek Orthodox priest from Cleveland, a Cleveland Heights teacher, and a former federal defense attorney.
Wow.
An additional 32 people were nabbed on prostitution and or drug charges. 9 search warrants were carried out on massage parlors and Toledo, Cleveland, and Akron areas, which they as described as a growing problem in Ohio. So then you have the sting found 67 survivors who were referred to healthcare and social service organizations. 76 survivors. I told you, here's some other ages. Obviously, a 76-year-old who was in his second arrest, a 77-year-old defense attorney, a 55-year-old school teacher, a 62-year-old substitute teacher, a 40-year-old former police officer, and a 24-year-old U.S. military employee. These are the people that they found in this situation. Among the survivors involved was a 14-year-old girl, a 17-year-old girl who was missing, and an adult with developmental disabilities. They had a quote: when you think about the fact that somebody would drive from Virginia to Ohio to have sex with a 15-year-old girl.
Bro,
well,
I was about to say something about that.
Go for it.
So just looking at, this is one of how many, or just a few of 103 Johns, right? You have a person in Maryland, a person in Missouri, a person Dayton's in Ohio. So this
135.
Huh?
Yeah, 103 Johns, a total of 135.
Yeah, involved. But Maryland and Missouri are quite a distance away from Ohio, man. So these people are traveling across state lines just to prey on people. That is a prey on children. Let me get it correct. That is a fascinating. Again, their ability to utilize their resources to get these things is crazy. It's crazy. Wow.
And so I want you to go up to the first picture I got on here on the Discord. The Leduc man. Yeah. He's now facing 100 child sexual offense charges. You got the face of this guy right there. He's being charged with child pornography and luring and faces 113 charges after 23 victims came forward. My bad, 23 more victims came forward. Campbell Ferguson, he's 49, and he was first arrested June 26th this year during a search warrant, and he initially was facing 27 charges from 6 victims. And Alert's Internet Child Exploitation Unit has now laid an additional 86 charges on him.
Wow.
This is the guy who fits the description, most likely, of what we were talking about earlier with the CPS cases.
Wow.
And I'm going to say it again. Predators often treat children differently than adults. Adults see kindness, generosity, helpful behavior, responsible behavior. Children see manipulation, threats, secrecy, inappropriate touch, fear. Because adults don't see what the victims see. And adults will defend the predator while the child remains unheard.
Wow. You know, I'm looking at these names and they're kind of giving like black names. Am I tripping here?
I mean to laugh, but yeah, and that other one, because they talked about the names, yeah.
Oh, they talk. Wait, yeah. So
that other the image you got up.
Devin Houston, Keon Hedstrom, Trey Lyles, or Trey, whatever. I think that's Trey Lyles. Keon Black, Trey Burton. Those sound like little black dudes.
Yep.
That's crazy, bro.
So I wonder. So because black people are cool, it's easier to use those names.
Holy shit. This is adding a whole other dimension to this shit. What the fuck? Wow.
These people are around. The girl with the Instagram video. Can you play her next?
Yeah. Copy link. 1 second. Damn, man, this is crazy, bro. This is insane. I don't think I'm logged in my IG on here. That's Discord. Wait, what the hell? Hold on.
I had the video downloaded, but Discord was like, nah, it's too heavy. You can't put this up.
Hold on. All right, this should work. All right. Wow. I mean, even that, I don't even, I mean, even that, is that a strategy to change the name? That's crazy, bro. You know? Here we go.
Again, it's all systematic. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's all systematic. Here we go.
Says out loud, it's not wrong to be attracted to 15-year-olds, just not 8-year-olds. We've crossed a line I never thought this country would normalize. That's not a slip. That's a worldview showing its face. When someone starts drawing moral distinctions between types of attraction to minors, they're not condemning the behavior. They're reframing it. That's a boundary collapse. And in psychology, boundary collapse is how a culture gets groomed. And the wild part, the same crowd screaming protect the children is now out here workshopping minimum ages like they're negotiating a phone plan. These are the people who treat drag queens as existential threats, but suddenly turn into public defenders the moment a man in their tribe crosses a line. Because clearly, healthy adults don't need to justify attraction to teenagers. Healthy communities don't need to redefine childhood. And healthy movements don't bend their morality to protect their idols. When you start excusing harm, you're advertising what you value and what you're willing to sacrifice. Because this isn't family values anymore. It's about a movement slowly teaching itself that the unthinkable is negotiable. And once a group learns to justify that, what do you think they'll justify next? Something dark is happening and we need to talk about it.
Wow.
What's your thoughts, man?
She's 100% right. When she's talking about a healthy community, I question what is that? What is that? What is that? Do those exist? Given the nature of this problem, I think she's highlighting the level of support that these people have. I mean, they're getting more sophisticated. As you see, individually they have an operating system. Collectively, they have an operating system, and there's different factions of this. I think she's highlighting that this behavior is very intentional. She talks about it's a movement, right? It's more than a movement. It's an endemic. It's something that's been going on and it's problematic and systematic. That's what I think. I think that when I look at the things that Ish was saying, she just explained his behavior to a T, right?
Yep.
So because he's given space for the worldview. I picked up on that because I'm a big worldview person. I picked up on he's given space for the worldview. It wasn't a slip. He's expressing the worldview and he stood on it. He stood on it too. He was just like, well, that's my view.
And
he said that. And I think that's the level of mentality that allows for this stuff to happen.
And then what the black community is going to do is going to ignore it. They're going to talk about it, once or twice, and then it's going to go under the rug.
Maybe not though. I mean, think about this, man. When stuff goes viral on Joe Budden, it lead people hear about it. I didn't hear about this till you posted about it, bro. Like, I don't think they care.
And that's what I'm trying to say. They don't care. That's like when we showed the seminar. How many people really look like? I saw so many empty seats in there.
Yeah,
this should be something that people are in. We should be in there listening to that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And again, as I said, these people, like she said, these people, they basically pretend they care, but then they also show how much they're going to defend the perpetrators, which we constantly do. A lot of adults constantly defend them. Oh, the other one is the Florida MAGA support. I don't care about him being that, but that one.
The Florida one, let me bring that up. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second.
So, a fitness coach has been sentenced to 170 years in prison for child molestation and producing child sexual abuse images featuring children as young as 2 years old. As young as 2 years old. And his name is David Ogden, 39 years old. He pleaded guilty earlier this year to 5 counts of production of child abuse material. And according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, he entered an apartment without permission where 3 minor children were sleeping in September 2024. Prosecutors say he touched 2 of the children and used his cell phone to make the sexual abuse material. Prosecutors also say his phone was later revealed more child images involving 2 other children. The phone also had more than 1,000 AI-generated images and 10 AI videos, some of which portrayed the abuse of children between the ages of 2 and 6. These are your new drug dealers.
The fuck? Break that down for people who don't understand what you mean by these are your new drug dealers.
So right now what we have is the dark side of AI. And we're seeing that the guys who are into abusing children are now creating content. And they're creating content for other people. Then they're distributing it. And we have data on that also that show that it is being distributed. They're sharing it. They're basically just putting it on the thumb drive, putting it on the Google Drive. And they have pictures, they're showing a 40-year-old man abusing a 2-year-old, and they're selling it for other people's pleasure. They're showing a 36-year-old abusing a 6-year-old and selling it for pleasure. Or they're just showing minors like they're looking at a 3-year-old like she's Melissa Ford, and they're selling it. These are the new drug dealers.
Wow.
And men are paying for it.
Wow. What do you think about this comment from Lyric? She says, I'll be honest, and this may sound extreme, but this is one of the reasons I want people to have less kids. Everyone cares about children until it's time to actually protect them or raise them.
I keep saying that. You either let the streets raise the kids, you let the TV raise the kids, you let the teachers raise the kids. The parents aren't raising the kids. You hear more stories about abuse than anything else, and this isn't to say this is all parents, because we in that crap era right now. But you have, how often are you hearing people talk? You have friends that are telling you how bad their parents are, mentally abusive or worse. Like, it's not, I got mom of the year over here. I got dad of the year. They've made me feel like Captain Planet. No. But you got the streets raising the kids, the internet raising the kids, the school raising the kids. The parents aren't raising them. The parents aren't protecting them, but neither is the system.
Yeah. Damn.
And the last one is the link on the picture under the Asian guy.
Got it. Give me 1 second. This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Globally, nearly 1 in 8 girls experience sexual abuse before the age of 18. Globally. This means that over 370 million girls and women currently alive have experienced rape or sexual assault before turning 18.
Wow.
That's more people in this country.
Yeah.
Boys and men are also affected, which estimates ranging from 240 to 310 million. About 1 in 11 experience sexual violence during childhood. The prevalence of the CSA varies across regions. Sub-Saharan Africa reports the highest rates, with 22% of girls and women affected, followed by Eastern and Southeastern Asia. And boy, that one makes sense.
Why is that? Why does that make sense?
I hear it's more of the stuff you hear. It's literally put on display. This one's over there. That's just point blank put on display. The level of trafficking that I hear over there is astronomical. It is a reason to be afraid if you're over there. And sometimes I do I realize, yeah, I get why y'all left. I've literally heard of this girl, African girl told me that her parents worked their asses off so they could move over here so that their daughter at 11 wasn't raped by some grown guy.
Wow.
So they wanted to protect their child and get them out of there.
Wow.
So, like, I had pulled something up. Now this one's on my end, but it's all stuff that you can look up, and these are official quotes about why predators look good in the community. And I got basically the name and like where it came from. So like a forensic interviewer from the National Children's Advocacy Center stated, the most dangerous offenders are the ones everyone likes. A CPS investigator, Texas Department of Family and Protective Services stated, child molesters don't look like villains. They look like helpers. A lead forensic interviewer in the Midwest CAC, the public imagines a monster. The reality is a man who is polite, charming, and trusted. A CPS supervisor in New York, by the time a child reports abuse, the offender has groomed every adult in the room to defend him. A veteran child protection caseworker in California, we hear it constantly, but he's a good man. He would never do that. That's why he could. Forensic interview in child first center, my bad. Children are often more believable than adults if adults actually listen. A child forensic psychologist in the NICHD interviewing program. Kids rarely lie about sexual abuse. Adults lie to themselves about sexual abuse. A CPS social worker in Washington State. It's easier for adults to believe a child is confused than believe their friend is a predator. A CAC interviewer in Georgia. Most kids don't have the vocabulary to make up what they describe. Adults dismiss it anyway. These are just some quotes that come from official statements. A family court evaluator in Virginia. Predators count on silence, not just the child silence, the adult silence. Law enforcement officer, internet crimes against children. The ICAC, most offenders aren't socially awkward loners. They're friendly, helpful men who blend in. The CPS investigative trainee in the Midwest. These men are good at being good. That's how they get access. Remember what I said earlier. Kindness is a character trait. It's a tool. A forensic psychologist from the NICHD protocol. Offenders don't look dangerous. They look normal. That's the problem. Or the child advocacy director in the Northeast US. The question isn't why didn't the child say anything? It's why didn't the adults hear them? And the last one is a forensic interviewer in Southern CAC. People think predators are rare. They're not. They're protected.
Let's hear more from a predator. I was able to find a clip while you were talking.
Go for it.
Now this has Spanish subtitles. That's the only I can only find. It's the only place I can find it, which is telling, which is very telling. I couldn't find a fuller clip. So here we go. Hold on. The interviewer asked him a question.
How did you get them alone?
Grooming. I would check out their family situation. I would check out their clothing to see how well they were, financially. I would check out their social interaction with other kids. When we were on the ballparks or on the gym floor, I would make sure which ones I wanted to molest. I would give them special attention, congratulate them, talk to them when I know that I would never be allowed to talk to anybody else, you know, aside from everybody. I would give them the attention that an official is not supposed to give anybody. And it made them feel like, wow, he's paying me attention. You know, it is a direct form of grooming.
Were there certain characteristics that you looked for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more, I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child. If I thought that the child had friends that he would tell, I would not approach him. If I thought the child had friends that were in the same capacity he was, I would approach him. For the simple fact that if I could molest him,
wow,
I could lure him into believing, grooming him into believing that he would enjoy it. And therefore, I could manipulate him into having his other friends come and be molested by me as well.
So perhaps
Like I told you,
have a whole lot of
a
friends.
methodical tactician.
Damn.
Political.
That's insane, bro. Wow.
They move like assassins.
Literally.
But people paint this picture of what they're supposed to look like, how they're supposed to operate. But the professionals or the dudes that's literally doing it are telling you the truth.
What the
That's
fuck?
why the profiling, I've said that the profiling techniques for trying to find these guys are absolutely outdated. And don't get me wrong, the agencies know this too. Because people have this way of looking at it, but it's like, but they look like everyone now. They operate like everyone now.
Wow.
The dude that's kind, that's shaking your hand, that's petting your animal. Hey, here's some doggy treats for your pet. Hey, I can mow your lawn for you, dude, just being nice. Over there eyeing your son from behind you.
Wow.
Hey, boy, you like basketball?
You know what's interesting about his perspective here? He's talking about it as from the standpoint of being that referee or that umpire. And he mentioned doing things that referees and umpires aren't supposed to do. And somebody plays sports, I can visualize what he would probably do. So let's say he's reffing a basketball game, right? So if there's a kid on the team, he might be like, that was a good shot. A ref's not supposed to say that. Or he might call a foul for the kid that he didn't call a foul on the other end. So he's just like, okay, there's a foul for number 17. That's the boy he's been targeting. Or in between timeouts or whatever, he's like, yeah, good play, last play. Or, you know, you're really hustling a lot. Like, there's, you know, things, those are things that a ref shouldn't be saying because they're supposed to be, you know, neutral, right? But he's picking and preying on these kids and he's just giving them little affirmations, which also bothers me because, damn, I always say that, and this comes from my school of psychology. I'm an Adlerian psychologist. So one of our bigger quotes from Adlerian psychology is encouragement to a child is like water to a tree, or you can say to a flower. Sometimes that they mix both of those up. And these predators, these assassins, as you're saying, they're utilizing that desire of a child in their ability to groom them at the same time. That is, damn, that's crazy, man. Holy shit. Wow. I'm glad I was able to find more of this because this is very and look out. The other thing too I'm paying attention to is his demeanor. Stone.
My man meant it.
I mean, I believe everything he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't think he's lying. I think he is literally just going through how his process was or is, and that's it. But you know what?
Expression, his head movements, his eye movements, his mannerisms. This dude means everything he is saying 150%.
Yeah. The other thing too, where he was talking about like if they had a father or if they had this, I would not pursue, which means that there were people that were being groomed or targeted that he never got to yet, just because of those little things. So his abuse count could have been a lot farther if these other factors weren't in place. That's fascinating. I noticed a tattoo on his arm. Do you think that has anything to do with his behavior, or I don't know what kind of tattoo that is? Do you
I don't know
recognize?
what tattoo that is for me to say that.
All right, I'm gonna have to do some googling on that because that's an interesting tattoo, and I don't know, it just keeps popping. All right, I'm gonna play some more of this.
Really a strong family.
I'll back it up.
Simple fact that if I could molest him, I could lure him into grooming him into believing that he would enjoy it. And therefore, I could manipulate him into having his other friends come and be molested by me as well.
So perhaps a child that doesn't really have a whole lot of friends, maybe not really a strong family, things like that.
Yes, no spiritual values, weak in education, needs help in many ways, even from split parenting, has a mother who may be having problems with the family, well, here comes superhero in to help out, wow, well, thank you very much. No problem. You ever need me to take him away for the night so you can have a night out? No problem. It works.
Wow.
Let me know.
How did you find your victims?
That would not have worked on my mom. But given our circumstances from which y'all know, that never would have worked on her.
Mm-hmm.
A dude would have asked her that, we was moving.
Wow. I can see how easily a parent will say yes, given the amount of stress it is to parent children, and the need to want to break. I think about my ex-wife used to do a lot of mom content, and one thing that we used to talk about that we thought was weird is just the amount of complaining that these women will have about being mothers. And these would be women married, single. They hate being a mom for some reason. Like, there's a lot of content. And what that does is it feeds a worldview. It feeds a mindset of like how motherhood is like this daunting thing that just sucks the life out of you, right? So imagine these women who are at that space and place, and you got this guy, and he's preying on boys too. So you get a guy to come in. He's a father figure. He's a referee. He's a nice guy, and meanwhile he's about to just ruin this kid's life. Unfortunately, like, this is insane.
I noticed what he's talking about the most. It's the boys.
Yeah. He preyed on boys. Jesus. All right, I'm gonna play the rest of this or some more.
I found my victims moving from town to town. I scoped them out on school grounds. I scoped them out in Little League diamonds. I scoped them out in my own backyards, my neighborhoods, and things like that. I worked with people who had younger brothers. I socialized with those people so I could get in touch with their younger brothers and begin the grooming process. It would take time, but I knew what I was doing.
And I know we listened to this already, but playing it back after some of the other things that we just connect is interesting. So you use the phrase that kindness is a weapon or a tool. You said a tool. And he utilized that kindness not just with the children, he's using it with everybody. Notice he said he would befriend guys who had younger brothers so he can get closer to them. Like that's crazy, man.
It was all calculated. I mean, this is nothing that happened overnight. I knew and I planned it all. It started out where I would move from one town to another. When I got located in one town, I would, survey the children in the town to see. It was always a small town. It was never a big one. Because big towns have big police forces, and big police forces tend not to be very friendly. Small towns have small police forces. They probably never even heard of a child molester or a sex offender, or never even had to deal with one. I knew that. At least I played upon that. And I got involved in Little League baseball because I knew from my high school days that I could umpire Little League baseball. I could umpire baseball. I was good at it. I was good at refereeing basketball and other sports because I could not play worth a crap in high school, but I enjoyed the sport so much but I did not want to not be a part of it. So I took up managing in high school. Then our coaches allowed me to referee intramural. And when I got to referee intramural, that gave me direct access to the younger boys. And that was how my molesting began, was in high school, when I had direct access to the younger boys through the intramurals program.
All right. I'm gonna do my best to try to find some more content from this guy or other people.
I got some videos to upload.
Okay, perfect. Because I want to hear directly from these predators. Because I mean,
yeah,
just for me to just observe him talking, and just there's one thing in tone of voice. There's nothing when you can match tone of voice to demeanor, right? And his demeanor is just kind of stone cold. Like, he reminds me of someone who's probably like, I don't think he's just replaying like a scenario in his head. He's going through his playbook. Do you know what I mean by saying that? Like,
that's what it is.
Like that's like when he's talking, he's so just like matter of fact with it that he's operating that system as he's telling this woman about the things that he does. He's not thinking, oh, when I was 15, how I abused that one boy was by doing this, and this. He's just running his fucking system, bro. That to me,
that's why I kept saying that they're systematic.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's why it's not like these guys have just one person they've touched. It's numerous people.
Yeah.
And because they've groomed them, but hence why I brought up the social grooming, because we've also utilized social grooming.
Yeah.
They're grooming the people around them. The parents, the teachers, the pastors, neighbors, co-workers, anybody that can vouch for them. They're going to create a shield of credibility, that protects them.
Wow. Man, think about the level of manipulation with these folks too, to be able to do this and do this in so many different settings. Like, they didn't go to school for this. They didn't read. I don't know if they have books. I'm assuming they didn't read any books. This is just either trial and error or just like fucking just know-how. Like, how do you like? They just perfected over time, which again goes back to your point. These people have multiple victims, man. I mean, we're not talking just a few. I know that stat we came across yesterday was every abuser has at least 13 victims.
Yeah,
that's an average. I mean, this person probably. I mean,
yeah, he's definitely more. He's talking about getting one boy, and then once that boy likes me, he'll bring his friends over, and he can go after that. So again, predators rely on being liked more than they rely on being hidden, and that's what people don't understand. Too many people don't understand that concept.
Yeah, I didn't understand it till we had these shows, to be honest.
Because niceness is a tool, not a character trait. Kindness is a tool.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. That I have to think on that too, like from that perspective. Yeah, I mean, you can't deny. Like, yeah, it. So, as a parent, now I'm thinking like, fuck. If someone's being a little, is it overly kind or just kind in general? How do you decipher if this is a genuine person or not? Or do you always operate that there's harm that could be done given the prevalence of the issue?
That's unfortunately how I operate. There people can switch up on you. There's always harm that can be done to you. I'm not trying to say don't trust people. You got to have people you can trust. Unfortunately, I mean, but when you're aware, you realize this becomes something very different. And like, if we literally flip the narrative, you hear women all the time use niceness as an attack. I don't like the nice guys because of some dumb reason. I don't like a guy that's kind because of some dumb reason. I'd rather get the asshole because at least he's honest. You hear women weaponize niceness.
Sure.
But these guys, it is a weapon. And they use it on children.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about it from that perspective either.
And I'm not saying, hey, if a dude being nice to your kid, raise the eyebrow. Obviously, get to know people and whatnot. But so many people are not paying attention to what people are saying.
Yeah.
Like people be getting weirded out at me when I just openly be asking people, you know, people at work, you know, hey, you ever raped a child? And they're like, whoa, what? And I'm just paying attention to their mannerisms and everything and how they're all of that. And it's a yes or no.
So you pay attention to how they respond to your question, or are you paying attention to how they're operating before you ask?
Both.
Or after?
Both. But when I actually asked the question, honestly, I am doing it for shock value purposes, but I'm testing you. So it's going to come out of nowhere. But when it happens, I'm just paying attention to how you operate. You know? And I listen to conversations. I listen to when people are like, if we're going to talk about the Joe Budden situation and we're listening to people and whatnot, you can you get a grasp on people and their mentality very quickly.
Yeah.
They had the R. Kelly situation with his daughter came out and was like, he touched her. And I had a friend immediately be like, oh, she lying. And I said, why is that your immediate reaction? That's your immediate reaction? That she's lying? And I dropped them. No, we can't talk no more. Not if that's your immediate reaction.
Yeah. Damn.
Because we're so used to, the dude already got a history.
Yeah.
It's important to pay attention to how people talk. Because again, we're not listening to the children. That's the problem. We're so used to listening to the people who are admired, the role models, the respected people in the community. That don't tell me shit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, when you learn too much, you see too much. This priest, that's a horrible example because that's too common. But this guy who's really just that great representation of what you think a good character would be, got some 4-year-old in his attic. And then he invited his homies over so they can play with the 4-year-old.
Wow.
Hence why, like they said, the most dangerous offenders are the ones everyone likes.
Urban had a response to your questioning people at work. He said, I don't know, bro. That's a loaded question. So, of course, people will react that way.
Well, that's why I study micro expressions. It's not always accurate. Don't get me wrong. But if you ask me the question, I'm going to answer you point blank no.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. Nope. And because of my circumstances, again, I've made sure to check myself, have the conversations as necessary. And it's like, nah, can't do it. That's just my mentality. But the reality is, I check people around me also, or people I talk to. And if the question's going to bother them that much, they're part of the problem also.
Right.
Because that's what we're listening to right now. And it goes back to some of the quotes I read, because again, by the time a child reports abuse, the offender has groomed every adult in the room to defend him.
Yeah, that's what I gathered from the guy in the yellow shirt, whatever his name was. That's what I gathered from him is that they've already, once they've preyed on the kid, they've already manipulated the environment to allow for that to happen. And they've done such a masterful job that abuse just carries on over time. Because, when he's talking about, I'm going to groom him to make him like it so he can convince his friend, I'm like, how much time does that fucking take? Like, that's insane to be able to get to even know that you have the capability to do that, or that you will have the time to make that happen, is sick in itself, right? So it's so systematic and ideal. He's like, I can have my way. Like, they know when to strike almost. You know what I mean? Like, they have to in order to keep going. And then he also knows, hey, I'm gonna get caught, so let me never get supplanted here because I gotta up and run to the next town to do the same
thing. The next one.
That's insane.
And 9 times out of 10, the child's not going to say nothing because the mind has been manipulated now. Because you've been hurt, but you trust.
Mm-hmm.
You're scared and you're confused. You're ashamed, but you're now aware. It's your mind is scrambled.
Yeah.
But now it's on to the next victim.
Yeah.
And again, he's got the protection now. He's a good man. He would never do that. And again, that's why he can.
I want to get Lyric's 2 points in here before we wrap up the show. Lyric says, and this is the response to my question of like, do we stay on alert all the time? Lyric goes, honestly, it's best to be aware all the time because it only takes one slip up, one moment of weakness. Talk to your kids regularly, question adults, watch your surroundings, and you can spot them. The downfall of parents not protecting their children is that they will think that the world is made of sunshine and rainbows 24/7. They have a naive mindset that it could never happen, that it could never happen to them. We heard that yesterday in the clip where the girl was abused by the teacher. She said, I was the naive and I had raised, like, man, even the fact that she has to think like that as a child shows the problem in this situation, because children are naive. A child should not have to think that they should not be naive in order to be safe in this world that they're in. It's fascinating.
And
lastly,
all it takes is one slip up. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was letting you have the floor.
All it takes is one slip up and things can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says you talk and randomly asking. Okay, he's talking about you asking this question again. Yeah. You talk and randomly asking that verse, actually having conversations that lead up to that question. You'll have a negative reaction because people will be offended.
But that's how people are trained at the same time. That's literally how people are trained. People are more trained to be offended than they are to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Hey, I mean, again,
I never thought about that. But
y'all know me. Like everyone that's listening at this point, y'all know me. Y'all know damn well I don't care if I offend you. Y'all know damn well I don't care about being the nice guy in the room or anything like that. And ironically, this is probably why so many victims just do gravitate to me or talk to me. Because I don't act like the perpetrator.
Wow.
Way too many times, random people just open up to me in the middle of a conversation. And I just be sitting here in my head like, why? I don't want to hear it. I thought we was talking about Dragon Ball Z. I thought we was talking about popcorn. And then they bring it up. Then it's like, oh man, now I got to go to work on this person. But I don't say it like it's a chore or nothing like that. It's like, dang, how y'all keep finding me?
Right.
But no, we're trained to do that. Unfortunately, to be offended rather than to be honest.
Yeah.
People can take it as a negative, and it's cool. But like I said, it's the adults that lie to themselves about sexual abuse. Kids rarely lie about it.
Wow.
That was coming from a child forensic psychologist.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good place for us to pause. Any final thing that you wanted to make sure we cover before we head out?
This was a great show. I appreciate it. Can't wait for the next one. Although I got to get some sleep.
Yeah.
But no, this was a good one. I definitely We definitely covered a lot of points in this one.
Yeah.
And again, stay aware, everybody. You're gonna have to stay on alert 24/7. Ain't no time to sleep. Not if you got kids.
Yeah. That's the part that really kind of gets me, is like, you have to stay on point. There's no break on this. Once you know, and you start to see the world a little bit differently. And that's kind of our goal with having these shows, is just to continue to bring awareness and provide a space for people to come and figure this stuff out. Because it's not talked about, especially in a lot of the circles that I'm in on YouTube. They talk about, I shouldn't say that it's not talked about. It is talked about, but the way that it's talked about helps to support the continued victimization of these children. That's why I think me and you kind of clicked on this a little bit too, because you started pointing out stuff on these panels, and you're like, I will worry about this person. I will, and I'm just like, why does he keep picking these people out? But then you start connecting these dots on what they're saying, how they're saying things. And I remember specifically, this was probably back in March or April. There was a panel, and on this panel, they were talking about this. There was a teacher that had got caught having sex with these boys, and she was a younger teacher. She was probably like 24 or something, but she was having sex with like middle schoolers, and she was an attractive woman. And I remember that whole panel was just like, what's wrong with that? Like, oh, they were all high-fiving and stuff. And there was only one person in the comments that was like, this is wrong. And that was me. Like, I don't care how good looking she is. At that stage of the game, she's having sex with 12-year-olds. Like, that's not appropriate, man. Like, I think that's just huge issue, huge concern. So you got to stay aware. Go ahead, Lyle.
No, I'm just saying it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. We want to make sure we give at least one resource. This is the RAIN National Sexual Assault Hotline number here. You can text or call this number 24/7, 800. The number is 800-656-HOPE or 800-656-4673. It is free. It is a 24/7 number. You can call and text at any time. And of course, if you have any emergencies, please call 911. Be vigilant. As we've seen from our conversations over the last 2 days, just because these people are professionals don't mean that they shouldn't be looked at either. These people who are being overly nice, these people who are laying prey, talk to your children, pay attention to yourself, and if you've been victimized, get the help that you need today. Don't wait, because it only gets worse from here. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We will continue to talk about things that are uncomfortable here on this network. And we want people to get better. And this is one of the things that we have to be honest about in order for us to be better as people, as individuals, and as community. With that stated, happy Thanksgiving. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back again soon. Peace.
Go.
Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd,